It's new model season. I love new model season, especially when there's a model that I am excited about, which is the Limited. I'm super excited about the Limiteds. We have been wanting this. We've been asking for this. Last year was kind of an anomaly, and I want to make sure that I give credit where credit is due, because last year I didn't really pull punches on the Street Glide Ultra. I don't like that. No heel shifter? Come on. Now, I am going to give the model a little bit of crap. There's a couple things that really bother me. I don't like that they didn't redesign the hard mounted tour pack. So I think having two places for a license plate just looks a little bit unrefined and a little bit unfinished. I'm not a fan of having an empty license plate mounting spot and then having the license plate on the fender. What I would have liked to have seen, give this bike, like it previously had, its own fender that had a different setup to accommodate for the license plate right underneath the tour pack. The second thing is, I like that the Limited has a wheel, or had a wheel, that was bespoke to that bike. So previously we had the Slicer 2 wheels on the Limited versions, and you could very quickly tell by looking at the wheels that this was a more touring focused bike. This one feels a little bit more like they took a Street Glide and outfitted it for you, rather than making a model that was designated as a full dresser and this is the touring bike. So this year I think they did a lot of things right, and I actually have a list. I have an entire list of things that I think they did well, and I have a couple notes. Not really big things, but let's start with the notes. Then I guess quote unquote negatives. They're not really negatives to me in the sense that I think they did it wrong. It's just I think it could have been another opportunity. For example, the front fender is the chop front fender that originally came out in 2022 on the Street Glide and Road Glide ST. I kind of feel like the full-sized fender would have been appropriate for this model. I don't dislike the chop fender. I just think on this model specifically, it kind of could have been a cool thing, you know, with the Limited badge on there. I thought it would have been appropriate for that bike. A little nitpicky thing, I sold one to a customer named Richard, and I talked to him about it, which I'll stitch some of that in here as well, because he was gracious enough to lend me some of his time, and he watches my channel. So if you're watching, Richard, what's up, man? It's your YouTube debut. Way to go. As I was putting his temporary license plate on, and I sat down on the ground and I took off the license plate frame and I put the license plate on there, I noticed that the bolts were sticking out of the bottom of the tour pack, and I really wish they would have put nicer, acorn nuts on there, kind of like what's on the bottom of your mirrors. So the bolt looks captured there. You don't see the threads of the bolt, and I didn't really like that. I'm not a huge fan of that. That's a minor thing. I know you could add that. It's not a make it or break it thing, but yeah, I don't want to ignore things that I did notice. So a lot of these things, I don't know if they are individually massive game changers, but I think overall, I think the bike fits well in the lineup, because, a standard Road Glide is, with California sales tax, mind you, we're in California, we have a 10.5% tax rate here. So an out the door on a standard Road Glide being around the $30,000 range, and then you get up to the CVOs, and like a Road Glide CVO ST is going to be $50,000 out the door. I think there's room in there in the middle for something that is in the middle. And this bike is not cheap. The Limited is not cheap. It's about a $40,000 bike. It's not super cheap, but I guess this isn't really me arguing that you should see the value in the bike or that you should like this bike. I'm just glad that it's in the lineup, because I think there are a lot of customers that fit the bill on this bike, and this is something that they would want. And I like it when Harley comes out with products that their customers want. So you can do the math yourself, obviously, which most of us know how to do. If you're looking at, the cost of a bike, whether, you find a lightly used 24 plus Road Glide, or you buy one new, and how much it's going to cost for you to put all your modifications on it. And if you need a tour pack, you may not need everything that the Limited has, but there is a huge segment of Harley-Davidson riders that want the full dresser and want something that has everything. And I'm just glad that it exists. One of the biggest drawbacks from the older Limiteds was the lower fairings, that they were not removable. They were housing radiators inside of them, and so you couldn't take them off. The twin cooled system worked that way, and now that we have the new center cooled system, which is working far better than the twin cooled system worked, the lowers no longer have those radiators, so you can take off those lowers. And if it's a stylistic thing, which for most people I think it was, is that, I like the added value of having the option of lowers, but I don't want to be forced to keep the lowers if I wanted to take them off and switch up the look of my bike. So now we have that option. That engine guard has some mounting points on it, so if you just take off the lowers lowers without changing your engine guard, it doesn't really look that good. I'll try to find a picture of it, but it does have bungs and mounting positions for those lowers. So most of the guys that have added lowers to their bike, they have two engine guards. They have the one that mounts the lowers on it, and then they have a different one that's perhaps more sporty, like the flat out bar, or I like my Advent Black ones. There's Santoro Fabworks was a pioneer in that flat bar style. So maybe you want two different engine guards, but it's kind of a wash, because if you got a standard Road Glide and you wanted to add the lowers, as far as I know, you'd have to buy an engine guard that would allow the lowers to be fit on there. So either way you're doing it, you're buying two engine guards. So some of the new things, I don't think they're all make it or break it, but maybe some of them will speak to you, maybe some of them won't. I like the 117 VVT. I like the idea of VVT. I haven't put extensive miles on a VVT because, you know, they're only coming on select CVOs, and I work at a dealership. I can't just put thousands of miles on whatever bike I want to, despite what people may think. But I am interested in the VVT. I think it fits my riding style. You know, as I'm in my mid 40s, I'm a little bit less, you know, grip it and rip it. I'm a little bit more cruise and, you know, enjoy the ride, enjoy the scenery. So I think the VVT appeals to me in that sense, because I'm not necessarily the guy that's, you know, trying to ride in the higher RPM range all the time. And the VVT gives you a little bit wider power band, so you have access to power in a wider range of RPM. So I like that idea. I think that's a cool addition. Up to now, you could only get the VVT on the 121 and the CVOs, and then they did release the 121 VVT in the Police Road Glide, and now we have the 117 with the VVT, which I think is cool. Maybe some people don't like that. Again, I'm not trying to convince you to like this bike. I'm just excited about this bike. So heated grips, heated seat, new heated seat. I like that. Previously, the heated seat only ever came on a CVO, so it's nice to have that come on a standard model. I think the full dresser touring bike deserves a heated seat. You've got embedded navigation, which I don't know how much that means. I guess it depends on the person. If you're an iPhone user, you're probably just going to use Apple CarPlay, which is what I would do. Passenger floorboards, which don't come on any bike except for this bike. When my wife used to ride more, she preferred the floorboards. She doesn't really ride too much anymore, so floorboards are kind of wider. If you have pegs and you have them tucked up, they don't hit the back of your legs when you're moving your bike around and stuff, but floorboards is nice for passengers who like floorboards. You have the new design tour pack with lights in it. The Ultra didn't have lights last year. I'm not mad that they redesigned it, but I don't know, I personally wouldn't have been mad if they kept the King tour pack. Now it's called the Grand tour pack. So it looks good. I got nothing against it, but I also really didn't have any problems with the old King tour pack. So I'm kind of indifferent about the new design, but I'm glad that it's got a full size tour pack on there that can hold two full face helmets in it. I'm glad it has the lights. I'm glad it has the speakers, which is really nice, and they have metal grills on the rear and the front speakers, which is a nice upgrade. Has the saddlebag guards, fog lights are built in on the front, has the heel shifter. You'd be surprised how many people get really upset about not having a heel shifter. Highway pegs. I don't know that we've had models come with highway pegs before, so that's a nice addition. Unique wheels. That was one thing about the Ultra. I felt like the Ultra was just a street glide with a few parts slapped onto it, where this feels like its own curated model. So they kind of look like tuning forks to me, which I like the way they look. So I'm calling it the tuning fork wheel. I haven't really looked up the official name for it, but I think they look good. Previously, the Limiteds had an 18 front, 18 rear. Now it's 1918, a little bit more like the Specials had. That's not a huge deal to me. I did think it made sense to have the 18 front, you know, because you had a little bit more sidewall. So for the touring focus guys, you got a little bit more sidewall, I guess. I don't really think it makes that big of a difference. I think the wheels look good either way. I did like the old Slicer 2 wheels, and that was part of the reason that I liked that they had their own wheel that was bespoke to them, especially at the time, and not so much now, but especially at the time, the Prodigy wheel had been around for a long time, so it just felt like it was kind of overused on a lot of bikes. I like that it has the adjustable preload on the rear suspension that is easier to get to, so you don't have to pull your saddlebags off to do minor adjustments on your suspension. So if you are loading up and, you know, you're taking your wife with you, you can adjust the preload on the fly without having to take your bike apart. Not that taking your saddlebag off is a big deal. It's not a big deal at all, but it's nice that you don't have to. It's nice that it has a little bit taller windshield. It has the bag liners, or the bags that drop into the saddlebags for the touring people. You know, they're really nice. They're shaped like saddlebags. They have a zipper. You can pull them out, carry them into your hotel room, which is a nice value add. It's kind of nice that they included that. They also say that there's a 21% increase in the charging system. So I'm not sure if this is a Stator thing. I guess that's a nice value add. If you're like me and you carry a bunch of cameras and video cameras and stuff that you need to charge, it's nice to be able to plug that in your tour pack and just kind of have that charging as you're on your way. The painted inner fairing is a big thing for me. So back in the day, you had the standard, and when you went up to the special and above, or anything outside of the standard, had a painted inner fairing. And I thought it really elevated the look of it. I really liked that about my ST when I had my stock fairing on there. I think it just lends for a more premium look, especially back then when you had, you know, the small infotainment system and the larger infotainment system, and you had the painted inner fairing. It really just kind of just raised the quality, the feel of the craftsmanship, so to speak. So that's one of my gripes about the standard road and street glides now, is they have these plastic inner fairings. And if you guys remember from back in the day, like my '07 was just so faded from sun wear, and it just didn't look good. And a painted inner fairing was a big thing for me, because that's what I'm looking at mostly. So when I'm sitting on the bike, I'm looking at the inside of the fairing, not the outside of the fairing. So I like having that painted inner fairing. So I think that's a really nice addition. So on the Limiteds, it's just vivid black, so it's not paint match. So if you have billiard gray, it's not going to be billiard gray on the inside, it's going to be vivid black on the inside. I think that is a lot better than having just ABS flat plastic. And with that, you get the metal speaker grills inside the fairing, which I think cleans up the look and makes it look very, very professional. The fit and finish looks really nice. It also has a kickstand sensor. So I like having the kickstand sensor. I need to buy one of them. I think it's called the Vehicle Hill Assist Control Module or something like that. It's not terribly expensive. It's under $100, and you could just plug it in. That way Hill Assist will work in neutral. So basically the system doesn't want you to use it as a parking brake. So if you do not have a kickstand sensor, you have to have your clutch pulled in and the bike in first gear in order to use Hill Assist. I guess maybe that's how the bike knows that you're on the bike and you're not just leaving it on the side of the road using Hill Assist as a parking brake. So when you have the kickstand sensor, the bike knows that the kickstand is up, so somebody must be holding the bike up, and you can activate Hill Assist in neutral, which I think is a really nice value add. That's one of the things that I didn't think was going to be a big deal until I had it. And once I had it, I was like, I use this all the time. Kind of like cruise control. When I was younger, I thought cruise control was on a motorcycle was stupid. And now that I'm stacking injuries and I've ripped my arm in half and I get throttle fatigue in my right arm, it's kind of like I use cruise control all the time. So it's one of those little bonus features that I really like having now. So it's 13 pounds lighter than the previous edition of the Limited, which is always great if you're making the bike lighter. That's a good thing. It's got the bigger motor than before, because previously that had been a 114, and this is the first time we're seeing a proper full dresser with the 117 and the addition of VVT, which I think is really nice. And you have a unique rear fender. So these are a lot of the things that I kind of griped about with the Street Glide Ultra. It's pretty early in the year. That was my first Road Glide Limited that we got in stock, and Richard got it. So he kind of shared a lot of the same sentiments, that it had everything that he would want. He can pull it off during the summer months if his wife isn't riding. He's got a basic standard Road Glide, but he has all those parts and he doesn't feel like he has to collect them all or buy them all at a later time. It just kind of comes in one nice clean package. It's already put together, has the fit and finish from the motor company, has a warranty on the latches and the electrical and everything like that, and he can just take things off as he wants and feels like he needs to. So one of the things with the Tour Pack that's a little bit different is previously the turn signals were in the Tour Pack. So you had really nice lighting on the old King Tour Pack and it had the turn signals in it, but then when you took your Tour Pack off, if you thought it was important to have turn signals on the rear, you would have to put some sort of turn signals onto the bike itself. So now it's inverted, so it's kind of a good thing, I guess, if you're not really minding that your Tour Pack no longer has turn signals in it, which I thought was a really nice thing. I wish they could have done both, but now they have more of the tail light housing similar to the Heritage and the Lowriders, where it has the bullet turn signals on the side and the new updated rectangular tail light on it, which I think looks good. I like that it has its own rear fender along with its own wheels. I guess the only downside that I could see is that I wish the turn signals also flashed in the Tour Pack. Like, just give me both. But I'm trying to celebrate the wins here because I'm really happy about this model. I think it's going to fit the bill for a lot of people. One of the most rewarding things of what I do is when people get a bike that they really, really like. When the new models come out, you do this year after year after year, and I've been following Harley longer than I've been working at Laidlaw's. When new stuff comes out and you see people get excited about it, I don't know, it just hits different when someone is getting their dream bike, when someone is getting something that they're really, really excited about. versus just something that's very transactional or unemotional. So I like that passionate side of it, and this is something that I've heard a lot of people say that they wanted. So I'm very excited for those people, and I hope I get customers that are excited about this bike and really see the value in it. So I'm not trying to convince you that it has the right appropriate value. I'm not trying to convince you that you should buy this bike. I'm just excited that it's back in the lineup, and on a personal level, this is probably the bike that I would buy. Like if I was in the market for it, I would want the full dresser. So I'm sure Matt and I are going to do a full review on this and ride it. I've really only ridden the Ultra around the parking lot so far, which, you know, the seat felt good in that short amount of time, but I'm excited to take it out on the freeway, feel the suspension, feel the seat. It's California cold right now, so it's kind of like chilly in the mornings, like 45 in the morning. If we do it earlier in the day, I'm definitely going to click on that heated seat and test that out. I've never had a heated seat on anything, so I think that's kind of cool. One of those things that as I get older, I really like the idea of. And thank you to Richard for shopping with me and watching the channel. I really appreciate it. It's nice when those two things kind of come together. He didn't want to film at first, but I kind of talked him into it a little bit. So thanks for doing that with me, Richard. And yeah, thanks for joining me to talk about motorcycles. I love this shit. I'll see you guys later. Here comes Richard in to buy one. So tell me your reasoning for buying this bike. So what bikes are you coming off of, and your reasons for kind of getting on this one?
I'm coming off a Pan America 2021, and my wife enjoys traveling with me, so she wanted to be a little more comfortable, and I want her to be more comfortable, so we decided to upgrade and purchase this limited. We've been eyeing the Ultras or the limiteds for a while, and I'm glad that with this current remodel, I think it's perfect because you get a lot of value for your money, especially with the LED lights, the new tour pack, and all the accessories that the bike comes with. So me and my wife were looking forward to traveling on this bike.
Were you waiting for this model to come out, or were you going to build a Road Glide out to a dresser and then they came out with this, or how did this come to be?
I'm an avid watcher of Matt Laidlaw's videos, so he's talked in previous videos about like not buying a bagger and then trying to upgrade. Yeah. And he says it's better to like basically buy like a touring model and then remove the items that you want to remove. So after my wife gets, you know, tired or she isn't coming out with me as much, I'll get a detachable dock for the tour pack.
Yeah, and then you can strip it out. It's just a regular Road Glide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your business. We're gonna walk around and look at his bike real quick, and yeah, excited. First limited of 2026.
Yes, I'm very excited.
When I made this, we appreciate you coming down, and I like the way this one looks better than I like the gray Street Glide Limited, because I'm just into Road Glides right now. So I did pictures of that one, but I didn't do any walk around footage because I was waiting for a Road Glide, and here we are. So he's gonna let me do some photos and stuff.
And then my wife is the one that chose the color scheme black with chrome. So
you can't be black and chrome, dude. It's classic, classic Harley. It never goes out of style.